Well, new legislation introduced in Washington will address critical needs of the mentally ill. Much of it looks to address the need for resources, and one of the lawmakers responsible for getting that legislation introduced joins me this morning. I'm talking about Senator Bill Cassidy. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll get to why you're in Shreveport in just a bit. But talk about just some of the provisions in the bill and why it's needed.
Yeah, so I'm introducing it with a senator from Connecticut, Chris Murphy. And our whole goal is to take someone who's young, who may have had a problem with mental health when they were 18 years old, and give them the services that they would need so that they return to mental health, true mental health, as opposed to beginning a process where they continually get worse. Yeah. We know why we need it. Yeah. Lafayette, Louisiana, Nashville, Charleston, Newtown, Connecticut, where somebody who had mental illness, it was recognized but untreated, goes in and hurts many others. Most mentally ill people are not violent. Right. That said, we need to help those who are and those who aren't. It's important for them, their family, for all of us. Yeah, and hopefully we can definitely, you said it's been introduced, and it should be no hurdles, hopefully? Oh, there's always hurdles. Yeah, there's always hurdles. But we have both Democrats and Republicans, both in the Senate and in the House, have introduced it all. And usually, if you get that kind of support in both chambers, both parties, it's going to have an easier go. And I hate to say it, Stephanie, but again, what's driving it is Lafayette. Yeah. Nashville, Charleston. So there's enough going on that people understand that mental health issues are important. We need to take what's already being spent in the federal government and spend it more wisely and more effectively. And one thing that's been happening, and it's gotten a lot of press here in the Arklatex, is just the Planned Parenthood and the controversy surrounding that. And what's your thoughts there, and what's been the talk like that in Washington? Those videos about Planned Parenthood are awful. Where people are bartering over a child's organs. So we voted to fund it. It kind of broke down in a party line vote. Almost all Democrats voting to keep money for Planned Parenthood. Almost all Republicans voted to take it away. Now what Republicans did is said, wait a second, don't just take the money away from women's health, distribute it. In Louisiana, our Planned Parenthood facilities are in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. No one from here is going to drive there. So we're going to take that money and distribute it to community health centers across the state. There's 132 community health centers in Louisiana. Let's take that money, give it to a community health center that might be in Caddo or Bossier or DeSoto, bringing those services closer to the woman that needs help, as opposed to only in southeast Louisiana. Yeah. And speaking of Louisiana, tell people why you're here. Ribbon cutting. We're opening our we're cutting the ribbon on the Shreveport office, and so we are going to make a big commitment towards Northwest Louisiana, and having the office here with the ribbon cutting today is part of that commitment. And talk about it, because sometimes being up here in Northwest Louisiana, it seems like we are forgotten about sometimes. Oh, we're not going to forget about Northwest Louisiana. When I ran, I heard that all the time. People felt as if they had been ignored here and their needs. And so our first retreat, every year our office will go to a different area of the state. Our first retreat was in Shreveport. I wanted to send a signal to my staff, but also this region, that the Shreveport-Bossier area is going to be a priority. I think we have the commanding officer at Barksdale on speed dial. Okay. I told my folks to constantly check with her, make sure what their needs are, and we're just going to spend a lot of time here. All right, we'll hold you to that. Senator Cassidy, thanks so much for being here. And up next, meteorologist Patrick Dennis has a full check of your forecast. Stay with us.